that introduces a simple yet powerful mindset shift designed to help people reclaim their peace and happiness. At its core, the book teaches readers to stop trying to control others and instead focus on what they can control, themselves. The central idea is encapsulated in the phrase, "let them," a liberating approach that encourages acceptance rather than resistance. Many of us spend an enormous amount of energy trying to change people, situations, and outcomes that are beyond our control. We argue, persuade, and exhaust ourselves in futile attempts to make others behave the way we want. This book argues that this struggle is not only pointless, but also emotionally draining. By adopting the let them theory, we can free ourselves from unnecessary stress and redirect our energy toward what truly matters. The essence of the let them theory is straightforward. Instead of resisting how people act or how situations unfold, we should simply let them be. This doesn't mean we condone bad behavior or give up on our own needs. Rather, it means we stop wasting energy trying to force change where we have no power. For example, if someone ignores you, let them. If a coworker takes credit for your work, let them. If a family member refuses to change, let them. This mindset shift is not about passivity, it's about choosing where to invest your energy. You can't control others, but you can control how you respond. By releasing the need to dictate other people's actions, you reclaim your mental and emotional freedom. One of the book's key insights is that the more we try to control, the more frustrated we become. When we believe people should act a certain way and they don't, we feel angry, hurt, or resentful. This resistance to reality is what causes much of our suffering. Mel Robbins shares personal stories and research to illustrate this point. She describes how she used to micromanage her children, constantly correcting them and trying to steer their decisions. The result? More resistance, more conflict, and more stress for everyone. It wasn't until she practiced letting them make their own mistakes that she saw real growth, both in her kids and in her own sense of peace. The same principle applies in relationships, work, and friendships. When we stop trying to force outcomes, we often find that things resolve themselves naturally, or we realize that certain battles were never worth fighting in the first place. In relationships, instead of demanding that your partner change, let them be who they are. This doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, but it does mean accepting that you can't force someone to act differently. If someone doesn't appreciate you, let them. Focus on surrounding yourself with people who do. At work, if a boss or coworker is unfair, let them be. Instead of fixating on their behavior, focus on doing your best and setting boundaries where needed. If you're overlooked for a promotion, let them pass you over. Use it as motivation to find a better opportunity elsewhere. With family, if a parent or sibling constantly criticizes you, let them. Their words only have power if you give it to them. If your child refuses to listen, let them face the natural consequences of their actions. They'll learn faster from experience than from nagging. One of the most compelling parts of the book is its exploration of the emotional relief that comes with this mindset. Many people report feeling an immediate weight lifted off their shoulders when they stop trying to control the uncontrollable. Mel Robbins shares stories of readers who, after applying this theory, experienced less anxiety and overthinking, stronger self-worth because they stopped seeking validation from others, healthier relationships because they stopped forcing connections. A recurring theme is that when you stop trying to change others, you start changing yourself. You become more confident, more at peace, and more focused on what truly matters in your life. The let them theory is more than just a self-help concept. It's a way of life that prioritizes inner peace over external control. By learning to say, let them, we free ourselves from the exhausting cycle of trying to manage other people's actions and opinions. One of the most profound applications of the let them theory is in our relationships. Whether it's with partners, family, friends, or colleagues, so much of our emotional turmoil comes from trying to control how others think, feel, and behave. The book explains that healthy relationships thrive on acceptance, not control. When we stop demanding that people meet our exact expectations, we create space for more authentic connections. For instance, many people struggle when their partner doesn't show love in the way they expect. Instead of constantly seeking validation or trying to change them, the book suggests stepping back and saying, "Let them love me in their own way." This shift removes resentment and allows both people to interact more naturally. Similarly, with friends who flake on plans or family members who criticize, adopting a let them mindset means acknowledging their behavior without letting it dictate your emotional state. A major theme in the second half of the book is how the let them theory helps people overcome the need for external approval. Many of us spend years molding ourselves to fit others' expectations, changing our opinions, suppressing our needs, or altering our personalities just to be accepted. But this constant people-pleasing leads to burnout and a loss of self-identity. The book argues that true confidence comes from releasing the need to control how others perceive us. If someone doesn't like you, let them. If someone judges your choices, let them. When you stop trying to manage others' opinions, you reclaim your power. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent to others, but rather prioritizing your self-worth over their approval. Another key area where this theory proves transformative is in professional settings. Workplace stress often stems from trying to control things beyond our influence, unfair bosses, lazy coworkers, or unexpected setbacks. The book shares stories of employees who shifted from frustration to peace by applying the let them approach. For example, if a coworker takes credit for your idea, instead of obsessing over the injustice, you say, "Let them have the spotlight. I know my worth." If a manager overlooks your hard work, "Let them ignore me. I'll keep excelling for myself." This mindset doesn't mean giving up ambition, but rather detaching your self-esteem from external validation. The result? Less stress, clearer focus, and often better career outcomes because you're no longer emotionally shackled to others' actions. Parenting is one of the hardest areas to practice this theory because our instincts scream to protect and guide our children at all costs. But as Mel Robbins explains, over-controlling parents often raise either rebellious or dependent kids. The book encourages parents to allow their children to experience natural consequences. If your teen refuses to study, let them fail and learn. If your adult child makes questionable life choices, let them figure it out. This doesn't mean abandoning them, but trusting in their ability to grow through experience. Many parents who adopt this approach find their kids become more responsible, and the household becomes calmer without constant power struggles. A significant portion of the book explores how this theory alleviates anxiety and depression. Many mental health struggles stem from ruminating over things we can't change, someone's opinion, a past mistake, or an unfair situation. The let them mindset acts as a mental release valve. For example, if you're haunted by someone's criticism, instead of replaying it endlessly, you say, "Let them think what they want. It doesn't define me." If you're stuck regretting a decision, let the past be. I can only control my next step. This practice reduces the mental loops that fuel anxiety and creates space for acceptance and forward motion. The book includes powerful testimonials from people who've applied this theory. A woman who stopped begging her emotionally distant father for affection and finally found peace. A man who quit obsessing over his toxic boss's favoritism and instead focused on building his own business. A mother who released control over her adult son's career choices and watched him flourish on his own terms. These stories highlight a universal truth. We suffer most when we resist reality. When we stop fighting what we can't change, we unlock resilience and happiness. Final takeaways. The let them theory isn't about passivity. It's about intentional surrender. It's recognizing that while you can't control others, you can always control your response. By adopting this mindset, you reduce stress and anxiety by releasing futile battles, build stronger relationships based on acceptance, not control, gain confidence by valuing your own opinion over others, parent more effectively by allowing kids to learn through experience, improve mental health by focusing on what you can influence. Let them is a mantra for peace. It's permission to stop carrying the weight of others' choices and to start living freely. As you close this summary, ask yourself, what's one thing I need to let go of today? The answer might just be your first step toward a lighter, happier life.